Hello and welcome to Pop Snitch Podcast. I'm your host, Rachel.
And I'm Brandon.
And we are back after a long delay.
Yes. Out of nowhere, we decided to foster a dog named Jeb, who was a foster from Texas, we believe, and the organization believes that his family was possibly deported. And
they also experienced the floods. Like, it was a combination.
Yeah. And that they were unable to find his family, and so they brought him up to New York to be fostered. We were like, oh, we've been looking for another dog. Maybe this will be a great fit. Jeb was the sweetest angel baby of all time, but he was gigantic, far too big for our apartment.
His cage literally took up half of our bedroom. And when we got him and they were like 55 pounds, that dog was at least 60 pounds. He standing up was like above my waist.
Yeah, it was just never going to work in our apartment.
And fostering is wild because they literally were like, meet us in this alley and we're going to give you this dog out of the back of a van who's been in a cage for days, like coming in and out of transit. He gets off. I feel like they clearly gave him something like Trazodone or something to like calm him down.
Mm-hmm.
And then he gets off. He takes a poop that's bigger than anything I could ever do. Immediately. Mm-hmm. I have no poop bag, so I have to run over there, ask people for them. He is covered in feces and urine because he's been in the cage for so long, like traveling up from Texas. And there are probably 40 dogs in that van.
Oh, easily.
I mean, there were so many that were trapped in like flooding or different issues from down there. And I could not believe how like dirty he was. And so then we put him in the back of a car and he was sitting back there with me and he's so sweet. He was sitting up, he was being a very good boy. But he did want to be on top of me, covered in poop, before we could get him to the place to do like an industrial bath. When we gave him a bath, he just sat there and was like perfectly fine. And our dog, who loves every dog, like he is so social. He has friends at the dog park that he sees every day. We dog sit constantly.
We were actually dog sitting at the time.
Yeah.
Which also was a
Oh
factor.
my gosh, that's right. We were dog sitting our neighbor's geriatric Yorkie, who is, I say geriatric in like the sweetest way possible. He is such a sweet baby angel. He wears a little diaper. He's like my little snuggle buddy. I love watching him.
One of my favorite dogs of all time.
But he's with us. Our dog is having like a very adverse reaction. We figured out that he really doesn't care for big dogs. And Jeb was like easily 4 times bigger than him. And he lost his mind. It was one of the most stressful weeks, especially the first couple of days, like trying to make sure they were separated and introduce them. By the end of the week, they were like laying down beside each other, totally fine. But I basically couldn't leave the house. So anyway, I had traveling the week before that, and then I had that. So it was just impossible. And of course, while we were off, a bunch of stuff happened.
Yeah, I mean, it was just... We hate that we haven't been up to date with all our podcasting, but it was basically absolutely impossible.
Yeah. And I do think moving forward, we're probably going to record on Wednesdays, and that'll just be the easiest way to keep up with the deluge. But to start us off, we just want to chat about the Valley because we finally got the reunion, and it's actually been really interesting to watch because at the time, Nia and Kristen were both pregnant. So they had to do the reunion early, like much earlier than they normally do for these shows because they didn't know if either of the women who were expecting could potentially give birth. And so they had to do it early. So they had to cram for the reunion. And I think it's interesting to see like who studied up, who looked at everything, who has like a team trying to tell them what to do and who doesn't. But I just want to get your initial thoughts from watching. We watched the one last night. We had the first one last week, and then we watched the second last night.
Well, I'd like to start with the season finale, which we never talked about.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Go on.
Yeah, so the big finale was this party that
the Zen party.
Yes, the Zen party put on by Michelle. And prior to this, we get this look at a conversation that she had with Jesse about like the state of their relationship, where he tries to apologize, but then at the same time victimizing himself, saying that he was just so hurt by her infidelity and all this kind of stuff. And she obviously was married to this man for a long time, and she has like there's like the littlest bit of her like wants to believe that he is gonna change or be different, and already by the reunion that's completely out the window.
Yeah, it was clear it was bullshit.
So by the time that we even get to the after show of that episode or the reunion, this is already completely fallen apart. And Michelle is already saying that he's doing the same stuff again. He's being manipulative again. He's using the child as a pawn and all of this. And so, but at the Zen party, they were the most cordial that they had ever been to each other.
That's true.
And at this Zen party, though, Zach has one of the biggest meltdowns of any. I mean, I'd say it's right up there with some of the biggest breakdowns, crash outs of any Vanderpump episode. Like it's right up there with some of the best of them.
He fully blacks out, and I actually think so far in the reunion, people are just kind of like glazing over it. Like they don't, nobody cares.
I think they were just saying like they made it out like it was the culmination of the entire season as far as the edit goes, but it seems like everybody kind of was like, Zach's drunk, he doesn't even know what he's saying. The thing from that final episode that actually has gotten the most traction is the obvious period where Jax has decided in that last episode that he's going to confront Danny or try to say the thing about Danny that he's been trying to get a hold of the entire season, which is that Danny is some lunatic and that he gets too good of an edit, and that him and Nia are trying to protect themselves while, you know, Jax is saving the show by being so vulnerable and transparent. I mean, it just, oh my gosh, you get to see in real time the thing that has been happening behind the scenes for, 10 years on Vanderpump Rules and now 2 years on the Valley, of Jax self-producing in the most obvious and painful way possible.
Yeah, I mean, his eyes are like fully black. Like his pupils have taken over his eyes. He is drunk and sweating. And this is before he goes to rehab for the second time. Mm-hmm. He is so furious at Danny and Nia. And this was clearly something that throughout the season, a lot of people on the cast felt. It was like a rumor coming from either Brittany or Jax, I don't know, that like they're protected somehow, but nobody can explain how or by whom. I think the biggest thing is that Brittany and Jax felt like they got a bad edit. And then this season, I do think Jax was like, I'm going to take down Danny and Nia. But I also think that two things can be true at once. One, Jax is a lunatic. I think Brittany's really jealous that Nia and Danny have this good relationship and have multiple kids because that was like what she wanted. But also, I do think Danny there's clearly something going on with him that when he drinks, like, you have never gotten drunk and told one of my friends to get daddy a drink. You have never like inappropriately touched anyone. No matter, you could be blackout and you just would never. And so I think the fact that these rumors persist and that we know of at least one incident. And then on the reunion, it did show that like when he had that initial conversation with Jasmine and her girlfriend, he was kind of like, oh, really? This again? You're bringing this up on camera?
Yeah.
And so I think like because I stand by the fact that when you have that many children, you are not drinking regularly. He comes on to the show. He tries to keep up with the people who do drink regularly. He blacks out. Like, I don't think that's the end of the world. I think the problem is that, like, if Nia's not there, apparently he is just like, he can't control himself.
Well, here's the thing. Like, Brittany is so unbelievably transparent in the way that she operates. If you know that kind of Southern person, like where she wants to be seen as this innocent and chaste individual, but she's out here doing cocaine. She's out here acting a fool. Her marriage is an absolute mess. She's tried to protect this man who is a is a raging narcissist and liar for years and years and years, she somehow thinks she got a bad edit. This is just the way it's been from the moment they started up.
Truly.
It has never been different. I've never had a different perception of their relationship from the beginning to the end. And the fact that, I mean, the one thing that really pisses me off the most about what's going on is like Kristen needs to see through this. Like Brittany is not your friend. She's not. She's looking out for herself. She's selfish. And like this attitude that she has of self-preservation, even with the Zach stuff where she can never have Zach's back ever. Yeah. She'll have anybody else's back all the time, and Zach always rides for her, but she can never have his back fully, ever, because she knows she doesn't have to, and that he'll always be there for her. It's just like, it's a very weird dynamic that I feel like you only understand if you know this very specific kind of Southern individual.
Well, she's like a Southern people pleaser who really struggles to be honest about what she actually feels. I actually think that the reunion was the first time that she was abundantly clear with people and would say, no, you did say that, Janet, or no, Zach, I didn't agree with that. I was pretty impressed with how frank she was, because I think she's honestly just had it, and God knows she's been through the ringer. I think what's hard for me is looking back at Vanderpump and being like, how were you confused about who you were marrying? But I think blaming her for that is unhelpful in the moment. Of course. But I'm like, Brittany, like, we all saw who he was. If you'll go back with me for a moment to the Vanderpump archives, the week after they got married, Jax went on probably a coke-induced rampage where he was going to the gym to these like HIIT classes like 2 and 3 times a day and constantly posting on social media about it, absolutely crashing out, unable to move forward, had to have multiple conversations. Yeah. And I don't understand how that, like, if that happened to me, I would be like, oh, he's freaking out. The other thing he did that he made clear on the show was that he can't break up with people. So he cheated on her. He lied to her. He refused to move out of their apartment. And then he proposed to her because he was like, I guess it's that time, because he was like 38 or something. Well,
it's also important to remember that this has been a constant for Jax the entire time of like, you know, he went and got diagnosed as bipolar and refused to take the medicine, refused to get the help that he needed, knowing. And now you go back and you're like, of course, this is some kind of crazed manic episode that he was having, completely unregulated. Yeah. And the truth of the matter is that, like, when somebody's like that, you the only way to help them is to get them help, right?
Yeah.
Or to put some sort of and set some sort of ultimatum. And the entire time, you know, and I understand this because I think it's second nature to do this for your partner, but she just protected him and kind of kept this from the zeitgeist, which I guess maybe in hindsight seems like a bad idea, but at the time I think she was like, it's self-preservation for their rise in, you know, reality TV
of course, world. Like her being with him was her getting money, right? Like,
of course.
That's that was their job. And so I try to like remember that. The hard part is when a kid's introduced, and I will say that I'm proud of her. I do think that she has come into her own, because as a mother, she's like, this is not happening anymore. I mean, it took Jax physically assaulting her for her to get to that point, and her son seeing it.
Yeah, well, my child cannot become this man. He can't have the kind of contact with this man.
Yeah, I think that flashed before her eyes. And so, you know, I hate that it took a long time, but I'm so grateful that like she was able to be like, you know what? I think I have to do this, and I think I have to do it now. And that is brave, or at least courageous. Like, she did something that was probably terrifying and did it anyway.
Well, a lot of people can't.
Good. I know. I know.
That's the thing. Most people can't. So, I mean, I do commend her for that. As annoying as she is to me, like, I can commend her for that.
Well, we are particularly triggered by Brittany because we grew up around a lot of Brittany's.
Yes.
And I just hate it when I feel like someone's not giving me a straight shot. Like, no one's telling me like exactly what's going on, but I'm getting pieces. I also don't love that, like,
or exactly how they feel. It's not even about like what's going on other than their feelings. So it's like, I want to know, don't lie to me. Tell me how you're feeling about this. Tell me how you're doing. Yeah.
They think they're doing you a favor by not being honest. And like, in fact, it's doing no one a favor, least of whom them. So and I think also like Zach went to her not necessarily in confidence, but the fact that she told Janet about what he said, and like obviously he was blackout and out of pocket for saying that about her when she was pregnant, but it was like a drunken rage because she'd been mean to him, which isn't difficult to see. Why did Brittany tell her that? I keep thinking about it. I'm like, I don't know if it's because other people heard and Brittany wanted to hear her to hear it from her.
It's faux honesty. It's this faux honesty of like, well, I can't lie. You know what I mean?
You don't have to say it. And I'm like, it would be one thing if Janet called her and was like, hey, I heard Zach said this. And if she said, listen, he did say it. He obviously didn't mean it. He was blackout drunk. I was really angry about it and uncomfortable with it. And I actually set a boundary with him as well. I didn't want to tell you because I didn't want to upset you this late in your pregnancy. That's how I would have handled it.
Well, and that's very different from what she did. She just kind of let it out there like, yeah, I mean, well, Zach did say yada, yada, yada.
I think she like became like kind of mean girl friends with Janet for a while. And now once Kristen got in on it too and was like, what are you doing? Like, why are you supporting someone who is constantly bringing up the stuff about Danny? Constantly. The problem with Janet is not necessarily that she's a liar. It's just that she can't let things go and she doesn't. I said this last time, but she doesn't have her own storyline. So everything that she's upset about, everything that's going on in terms of like what she's bringing to the show is what she's saying about other people. And I really hope that she changes that because I think that she could be an asset. We obviously need a villain. There are many on the Valley, but that is the issue that I think they're all having with her, where they're like, listen, you don't get to just like talk shit about us all the time and not bring your stuff to the table. And that's what Kristen, I think, was like trying to show her with the comment about Jason.
Well, even the ring tattoo stuff, it's like Jason gets just like a singular thin circle and she gets like a white, like indistinguishable like thing. And I'm like, why can't you even just commit to that bit?
Yeah.
Like, she can't commit to anything. Like,
I just
she can't
don't think I would
commit
have
to her
taken
own
that
story.
seriously.
No. And I think we can get into the dark side, Danny Darko of it all right now.
Sure.
And I think for me, here's the thing that triggers me about Danny, and it comes from this like evangelical world that I'm familiar with. And that is a man of some prominence in a group apologizes one time and he's like, what the hell? I've already apologized. Yeah. Why is everything not okay? Why is anyone having thoughts about this horrible thing that I did? I apologize. I mean, you asked me to apologize. I apologized. Yeah. And he just keeps saying, I thought we were good. And it's like, yeah, but do you not remember when you said right as it's happening, oh, you really going to do this? You're really going to do this
Which
now
was stuff
in front
we
of the
hadn't
cameras?
seen.
Yeah, exactly. But that's what's been exposed. Now I understand, because I honestly was kind of lashing out at, what's her name? Jasmine. For bringing it back up over and over again and like going back to the well on this. But now I totally understand why.
Well, she wasn't even bringing it up. Janet was bringing it up over and over.
Well, I'm saying like even when they went out to lunch again and they had to have the same conversation and then she was talking to them about it outside of that saying, well, I didn't really feel good about the apology. Well, that didn't make sense to me at the time because I was thinking, well, I mean, he apologized and you said we're good. But that's without the context of knowing that right before they turn the cameras on to film, he's like, are you sure you want to do this right now at the white party? That, you know, we're having a good time. You want to bring up where I touched you inappropriately? I mean,
he got drunk, said, Daddy, a drink, and groped a woman. I mean, that's a
not
lot.
a small thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's
and
something
Nia's
that would get you like fired.
Well, I mean, you know, he did do it, but you know, he apologized. You know, he apologized.
Yeah. And I think Jasmine made a pretty good point too, where she's like, if I had been a man and he had done that to my wife, he probably would have taken me out to dinner, apologized profusely, like come to me hat in hand. But because we were both women, he was kind of like, I said, I'm sorry.
Well, and
You
let's
know?
not pretend that there's not that element of it. He does not. I mean, this is probably a two-step in the right direction, in the wrong direction. But I don't think it's too big of a leap to say that he does not view their relationship in the same way that he views the straight couples on the show.
Would not shock me at all
Yeah,
if that was his perspective.
Because even in a way that I think a lot of straight couples probably wrongfully think that, even progressive leaning ones, it's like, it's easy to just be like, oh, it's a gay relationship. It's different than mine. It's like, no, like, you've completely disrespected this woman and her partner publicly,
Yeah.
And so I totally get why they're upset now. I still don't think that Danny is like some sort of like
Monster.
full-on creeper or a monster, but I am interested to see what happens in that the finale episode of the reunion next week, where they do confront him on apparently there are other like accusations out there.
Yeah. Well, the thing about Janet is that she will come with receipts. Like when she has said stuff, it has been true. Has she embellished? Has she, done this or that? Sure. But
it's more that she just sits it out there and lets it explode.
And she won't let it die. Like she's going to bring it up 1,000 times. But I think I understand more of why Jason's angry. It took me a while this season to be like, what is your deal? And now I'm understanding that from his perspective, he was like, oh, and I do think Jason and Janet's from Ohio. I am certain she's been around like evangelical culture based on like how she grew up. And I think there's a level of being like, these people are saying they're this. And this guy is getting away with groping one of our friends and being so blackout that he's like
silently drinking in a corner when he thinks I'm not looking. That is totally an element of this. And I'll just say, like, looking back at the receipts from the reunion, it's like this guy was hammered drunk, calling his wife like a witch and like a snake and all of this. Like, I'm telling you, like,
if he did that to me, you would murder him. I see why he's angry now.
We wouldn't be friends anymore. That's for sure. And the idea,
I think they aren't.
No, that's what I'm saying. And like, so even beyond that, like, I will say, because this has happened in our relationship before, when someone makes your partner, especially like a strong-willed female person, like, makes them the scapegoat for the group's issues, that will literally send me over the edge. Yeah. Because the thing is that all the stuff that Janet has said, I would bet Brittany is probably saying behind the scenes. Maybe even Kristen is saying behind the scenes. And Janet has taken it upon herself in almost a Sheena-esque way to kind of be bringing these things up slowly but surely to get them on the show.
I don't think Kristen sees the light about Danny. And again, I don't think Danny is just like a bad guy.
No.
You can see Nia knowing when to assert control of a conversation.
Yes, because it's about to spin.
She picks up all of his mess. Like, and that's what Jasmine was saying. Like, actually, you called me. And she's like, no, but I called you. And then I made sure right after he messaged you. But the point that Jasmine was trying to make is that, like, he didn't pick up the phone and call me. You called me.
Because he doesn't respect women in that way.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just going to say it because that is the way that it's reading to me.
It is reading that way. And I think knowing the evangelical culture of it all makes it harder to assuage that feeling. And I don't think Kristen is particularly familiar with that.
Well, her and Luke, they've literally said that this season that they're not familiar with it.
Oh,
they're
on the
just
after show, yeah.
Yeah, because they're just like, oh,
they're very religious. I'm like,
Danny and Nia are very religious. But they're like, they're so good at people and they love us so much and they care, which I'm sure they probably do.
Yeah.
But they don't understand that some of that, it's not necessarily a show, but it's cultural.
And it's like so ingrained in the way that things work within that type of church that's very difficult to even realize that it's happening when you're in it in real time. Yeah. And so you can see it and Michelle goes there too, which is interesting.
Well, and it has nothing to do with them being good people or not being good people but what it is like the stuff of Nia protecting him in this very specific way.
Yes, she's good at it.
Trying to, and the thing that all of them have identified but can't really put words to, which is this, like, desire to keep this mask and facade up of what their marriage is versus what it may actually be like, which may be a great relationship, but it has cracks like every relationship does.
Sure.
And they argue and they have things that they don't like about each other. And you know what I mean? Like, I think that's what people are trying to identify, and everybody on the show's having a different reaction and a different way of expressing their frustration with it.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. And since last season, we have Brittany and Jax breaking up. We have Michelle and Jesse breaking up. So like when half of your group is going through divorces that are nasty, God, Jesse Lawley, I swear, he's just as bad as Jax in terms of like mental torment. I mean, he got caught in so many lies.
Oh, he's
in
a
like
horrific
10 minutes.
liar. He is
but
a
he loves
horrific
lying.
liar. Oh.
And Michelle, because she's like kind of quiet and she has learned to be emotionless with him because he preys on emotion.
All he wants is a reaction.
Exactly. And so I think to viewers, she comes off as cold, but really it's her like being exhausted by his antics.
Well, I can tell you for sure that a therapist, if she has one, and I guarantee you she does, is telling her you cannot give him the reaction he's looking for. You do nothing but just, I mean, it is like a huge payoff for him every time she blows up or...
Well, and everything he says about her is a lie, and it's a projection of something we find out he's actually doing.
And I'm sorry, like, I just have very little respect for Danny and for some of these other guys for even maintaining any kind of relationship with Jesse and Jax.
Oh my God. I was thinking about this, and I was thinking about it in regards to the people who I think are actually like the best husbands are Bo and Stassi. And then I do think Jason is a good husband to Janet. Like they ride for each other. And they're the only two that like Jason was never in the group chat because he has an Android, but also I don't think he ever would have stayed in it. And Bo was in it for a minute. It was like, these men are disgusting. So the fact that they had to kick Danny out is really telling, because what we know about the chat is that it is really about degrading women, that is a lot of what like the humor and all of that is geared toward, because it's a lot of angry middle-aged men.
A little locker room talk.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, okay, great. Love that. And so I do think it's telling that Danny was in the group for as long as he was in the group, and that it took them like kicking him out. And anybody who wants to be in that with freaking Jax is crazy.
And the thing is that like, I don't know, like these men are tormenting these women. Like even, I mean, we saw the most probably, conflict averse person on any of these shows, Schwartz, literally lose his mind talking to Jax.
Yeah, because Jax is a lunatic.
Like come unglued and be like, no, stay away from her. Like, you are terrible. You're toxic for each other. This is bad.
They're afraid he's going to physically hurt her and be in jail. Like,
no,
that's what they're
I'm
all
saying.
not saying. Yeah.
And I'm telling you, like, seeing him respond that way, that just let me know, like, anybody who's trying to be friends with him or keep him on this show or keep him around all of this, like there comes a level where it's like reality TV, of course, there's going to be mess and there's going to be drama, but this has, like, gone beyond that point. There is some stuff going on with those two guys that's, like, borderline, like, making me uncomfortable.
Well, it's why people stopped watching halfway through the season, because they're like, this is actually like dark, and I feel like I'm watching a woman be manipulated and like verbally assaulted, and I'm just not particularly interested in that. Yeah,
I mean, when you've got me hoping for Sheena and Brock to bring something to next season, we've really crossed the Rubicon here.
Oh, Sheena Shea, man, she is out there on that book press right now.
Oh, well, I listened to one of her episodes, which was the description of when she got demoted it was basically just one of the chapters about the season where she got demoted on the show and how she felt bad for herself, but she still brought it, and she ended up making that season the best that it ever was, and all of this.
Isn't that the one where she couldn't shut up about her boyfriend and him installing a TV in 7 minutes?
No. This was the season where they brought on the new girls, like Dana.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
She was, I forget, she did
really
the music
jealous.
video with that guy.
My God.
And they were trying, and she was talking about the edits that she got with him and how none of that really happened, which I believe about what she was saying.
Yeah.
But like they were trying to bring on 2 new younger girls and they were trying to phase her out.
Yeah. And she was like, absolutely not.
Yeah, she's like,
good on her.
I will debase myself further. Trust me.
I can't remember. I heard someone playing like the opening of the book. That's like, one thing you need to know about me is I'm always going to be real. I'm not going to just do what people tell me, like something to that extent. And everybody's like, so we're starting with a lie? Like, we have watched you do the opposite for years.
Well, and now she, like, one of her biggest things in the book is trying to throw Lisa under the bus for being like the person who is always feeding her things to say and all of this. And I'm just like, what would have been your role on the show otherwise?
Yeah, there were a couple seasons where that actually helped her. I mean, I understood what she was saying about James, and I still think that James has something that he knows about Lisa's son, like has to have something.
Oh, come on. Yeah, absolutely.
Why else would they care so badly about keeping him on when he was like acting so psychotic?
Well, and saying terrible things about him. I think it all revolves around whatever was going on at that particular time. Even on the show, Lisa is telling her son, like, you have to forgive him.
Right.
You know, he has something on him.
He knows something.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of toxic men, did you watch enough Love Island last year to know Kenny and Janay?
Yeah, totally.
Okay. So what do you know about their breakup?
Basically, so like the filming for After the Villa or whatever that show is.
Beyond the Villa, yeah.
Beyond the Villa is already over. Like that whole whatever comes out in those episodes is already done. And since then, basically she found a text conversation between him and some friends or him and other people on the show or
Even
something.
in his family. Yeah,
people in his family that basically was using like very racially insensitive things about her, basically saying like, I'm not even attracted to her based on like her race. And didn't he like use like slurs?
Yes.
Yeah, use slurs to describe her and was basically like, as soon as this is over and I've gotten my money and I've gotten the amount of fame I can get out of this, we're done. This isn't real, basically.
Totally. Well, it's funny. There's this girl on TikTok who goes through social media from some of these reality stars to just kind of see if they're MAGA or not. And Kenny like so clearly was. And Janay's not. And people were kind of like, well, that's interesting. And like in the first episode of Beyond the Villa, she's like, I don't really understand why you want to live. Because like they're paying for them to stay in these apartments for the summer. And she's like, why wouldn't you want to live with me? Like everybody else is living together. We've been together for a year. Like, why would you not want to like play house with me to see how this would work? And he was just kind of like, nah, I'm going to live like on the next floor or whatever. So I already was like, that's interesting. And it's not like I get being like, I want to wait to move in. I want to make sure that this is working. But when they're paying for you to like live in a building and you can practice doing that to see if it would work. Yeah,
it's a vacation.
Like, why would you not? So I already thought that was weird. When she posted, people assumed, or when everybody unfollowed him, I think people just assumed he had cheated on her or something like that. And it was like so much worse. He had been clout chasing with her and making so much money off of her and off of Love Island. All the while she goes through his phone and finds out that he's sending these horrible slurs about her, talking about how he's not even attracted, like you said, like how it's going to be over. Like, why are men like this? Can you help me understand?
You think I know?
I just like genuinely, I also saw a TikTok of this poor girl today. She said that she she got an Instagram, like a DM from this guy that was like, hey, do you want to go out? Blah, blah, blah. And she was like, hey, yeah. And they're like having a good chat. She agrees. And she was like, I don't see you on Hinge. Like, how did you get my Instagram? Because she assumed that it was like on the app and he saw her and went there. And he was like, and then, or actually she realizes this at the date. And he's like, oh, it's because I saw the video of you crying. She's like crying about something else on TikTok. And she was kind of like, well, that's weird. And then continues being like, I'm obsessed with you. I think you're so beautiful, blah, blah, blah. And then like basically leaves her and ghosts her. And the next day is like, I can't believe you fell for that. Like, you're such a loser. And then goes away. And I'm like, I am so sick of hearing about the male loneliness epidemic. Like, literally shut the hell up. This is why you're lonely. And may evolution run its course where women will not procreate with these incel lunatics.
This is what does it, which I don't understand this at all either, because I'm more of the camp where I would have to be careful of like getting in a relationship with somebody because I'd stay with them for years and years just not to hurt their feelings. Yeah. And so like the idea of like texting people that like I hated this person, I was just doing it for clout or what. I mean, I just don't have it
You don't
in me.
operate like that. You're afraid to hurt like a cashier's feelings if you don't want to round up your thing or whatever. Yeah.
So, but I just have to believe that the attention that these men are getting around all of this, probably in their DMs, probably from, just the money. I don't even know how the money works or what kind of money we're talking about when we're talking about these people.
They had brand deals together. And so that's why he needed her, because brands would ask like them to work together on something.
And are we imagining that this is hundreds of thousands of dollars?
It's enough where neither of them were working.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it's just, I guess you start thinking of it almost as like a business relationship, but this other person thinks that you're like ride or dies in it for forever.
Yeah. And like he could have told her, like, listen, this is not what I want to do long term. I'm happy to do these things with you that we've agreed to, and we can be public about it when you're ready. Like, there are ways to do it.
I mean, they had been together post show for over a year. Yeah.
Well, they were coming they were right at a year.
Yeah. Oh.
It is absolutely insane. We do need to talk.
Are there any podcasts or anything that they've been on since this breakup?
Not that I've seen.
Ooh,
I could be wrong.
I can't wait to cover some of that.
I know. I'm so curious to see. I want her to go on like Keke Palmer or something. Like, I just, Nick Viall is like in her DM so hard, begging for her to come on.
Keke will ask the questions. She asked Alantria and Shelly some questions that I was like, boop.
She did. They wouldn't answer very much.
Yeah, but she wasn't afraid to ask. Yeah.
And she did it in a way that was like welcoming. And she even said, like, we're going to give this caveat, whatever. But yeah, I hope she goes somewhere like that. I'm kind of done with like the Call Her Daddy and the Nick Viall. Like, I feel like now both of them rely so heavily on who they're interviewing that they don't ask they'll ask fairly interesting questions, but they will not follow up. And that drives me crazy. And I know that they're not trained journalists, but like when you have a platform like this, you got to get better.
I'm wondering also too, like how much, I think this is the biggest thing with me is like, how much control are they exerting past like the PR teams or whatever that they're dealing with? Like, what have they agreed to get this person on the show versus like, what can they talk about, not talk about? Because like you already see, like we were listening to that Breaking Points interview with Alyssa Slotkin. Now, granted, it's a little different with like a senator, but like they did this amazing interview, but now no one is going to go on that show.
Yeah.
And so like, I think there's a little bit of that.
There's a lot of bit of that.
Where people can't handle the fire of actually being questioned in a way that they would actually have to answer for.
Get out. Like, I'm sorry, but like if you're gonna make millions of dollars and
off of my interest in your show and life,
then you do need to kind of like be able to answer these pretty basic questions. And they need to do better at like following up, and I think Nick Viall initially was more interesting when he had people on because he did grill them a little more. And now he's like, so now he is always going to sympathize with a man. He's so annoying.
He's also, that's another thing. It's like, you can't start running in circles with these people. Like, one of the reasons that I feel like Alex doesn't go in as hard on reality TV people is because she is very much in the friend groups with like Harry Jowsey and like all of these people that are, in this universe. So it's like, if I upset someone, now it's like going to affect my friend group and like who I'm hanging out with. And I think like she's way too she is too popular and important of a cultural figure right now to be hanging out with reality stars. I hate to say it, but it's just the facts.
I'm finding all of her stuff to be very watered down and disinterested. I haven't listened to her podcast since I listened to the Huda interview.
Well,
I'm just not.
I mean, my listening to her podcast is very much determined by who it is. I did listen to the Dave Franco one, and it was really, really good.
But I think that's the problem, is that it is determined by the guest. Like, I think that if listening to your podcast is worthwhile based only on who you have on there, then maybe it's not great.
Well, I thought that the podcast was 1,000 times better when she was just talking about her life and her dating stuff, which is like the original draw of the show. And now it's an interview podcast, which like I'm far more interested in her talking about her like struggles with like fertility or her struggles with dating, or I think she
figuring out if she wanted children. I thought that was really interesting.
Like all of that stuff is fascinating because it's like very few people, especially like famous people, will talk about that kind of stuff and like how they're dealing with the same kind of crap that all of us deal with and the same kind of questions we have to decide. Like, do I want my career when it's at its top to be taking a back seat to me raising a child? I think that stuff's interesting. And so I even think about that with our podcast. Like, should we talk about ourselves a little more at the beginning? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, will that make it more interesting? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, we do have to talk about the Sidney Sweeney ad for American Eagle.
Oh God, here we go.
First of all, I can't get over how stupid she sounds. Genes are passed down from generation to generation. Like, it literally, I'm like, are y'all serious? Someone did this take and was like, perfect. The way she sounds is just like moronic. The internet exploded in a way that was like truly nonsensical. At first I was like, okay, because I was just seeing what other people were saying about like eugenics and stuff. And like, I get good genes is a term that is utilized by crazy people who want to talk about this. Do I think that's what their marketing team had in mind? No, I don't. I just think it's that. I also think that it's important to note Sidney Sweeney is a registered Republican in Florida who, let us not forget, 2 or 3 years ago, got like hammered by the media for being like, guys, movie stars actually don't even make that much money now. Like, if I don't work, if I don't get my health insurance. And she's like in a mansion. So she's truly lost the plot. She also was into, what's his face? Powell. They
Glenn
did that
Powell.
movie. Yeah, and he's very MAGA-ish too. And so, like, this whole thing doesn't surprise me at all. Like, her mom's, like, 60th or something. They did that, like, make 60 great again or something like that. Like, it was, like, a whole thing. So I think that there was a lot of people bringing feelings about her into this ad and then found that phrase and freaked out. Okay, that said, the ad itself is interesting because Sidney Sweeney is known for her breasts, okay? She does not, as a girl with a large caboose, okay, she does not fill those jeans out. And I think that's what I'm most offended by at this point. Like, girl, you're over here talking like you just learned to read and you don't even fill out the back of your jeans. All we're doing is having them like show your side boob on here for reasons that are inexplicable to me.
Well, let me tell you, just from my perspective, and I don't know if I'm allowed to even speak on this as a man, but I will tell you what I felt about the jeans ad just from an initial reading of it. I watched the jean ad on Instagram, and it had all of the ads, the short ads, in like a carousel, so you could watch them all. I watched them all, and I thought to myself, pretty woman. And that was
Of course
the
she
last,
did.
and that's the last thought I had. I didn't
Yeah.
think about eugenics. I didn't think about Nazis. I didn't think about blue jeans. All I
Yeah.
left with was, Sidney Sweeney, hot. That's
Yeah.
it. And I have to believe that may have been the only thought behind
course.
that entire
Because every
campaign.
woman knows that every man is thinking that. And maybe if I buy these jeans, I'll look like Sidney Sweeney and these guys will think this about me.
Smart.
Okay.
That is the genius marketing from the
from
the people at A.
Their ad sales had to be out of control with because in response to like everybody freaking out online, I don't like Sidney Sweeney. Like I have no issue saying that. I think she's a subpar actor, to be honest. Aside from what's the show? Oh my God.
Euphoria.
Aside from Euphoria, where I feel like she essentially played herself, everything she's done, that movie she did with Glenn Powell was horrendous. Like she talks like she's got marbles in her mouth. Again, she sounds like she just learned to read yesterday. Like I could not be less impressed by her acting prowess.
Well, I will gracefully disagree with you. And we'll also say that you haven't seen Immaculate, which is the horror movie where she plays a nun. It's not like Benedetta. Unfortunately.
Benedetta was great.
Wow. Don't take our word for it.
Go see it, baby.
It's on Hulu, but maybe don't take your mom.
I was going to say, don't watch it with your family.
Don't watch it with,
No young children.
Matter of fact, forget we said that. Forget we said to go watch it.
Go watch it. It's a French film. You'll feel smarter.
But yeah, I mean, I think the warning that I think I have with this is that the internet is a place where just like anything can be taken and just like explode, whether there was like malice behind it or not. Like it has become way too big of a thing.
Yeah, and all it does is, again, like if you're mad about it, you talking about it over and over is just going to spike sales for them. Like,
and I'm also just. Not to get too serious about this or to get too serious about anything, but it's like when an entire cycle on the internet and in media is taken up by a Sidney Sweeney jeans ad. We're not talking about inequality. We're not talking about the
billionaires
genocide
trying to kill us. Yeah,
the genocide in Gaza. We're not talking about our elected officials literally selling us down the frickin' river. We're not talking about AI that's coming for all of our jobs.
Not just our jobs, our water. All of these AI
so,
like plants and factories are taking, like literally there's a town in Georgia where they don't have drinking water anymore because that is using so much.
And let me speak to the people in the comments who've been saying, how could you possibly spend your time talking about reality TV when there's a genocide going on? Oh, you don't want me. This podcast is always one foul movement from becoming a
political podcast.
Yes, becoming a political podcast. So
well, that's our thing. Like,
keep your mouth shut.
That's why we started doing it, because we literally couldn't shut up about politics and started feeling overwhelmed and frustrated. And reality TV is like our way of coping and looking at like the psychology of people who are also living in this time and trying to like glean from that what we can. And like, look, I too would love for things to be different, but I unfortunately can do nothing about it but what I've already done. So I'm going to talk about the Valley, and I'm going to talk about Pamela Anderson and Liam Neeson, because I need to end this podcast with some good news.
Hallelujah. And like I said, we've talked about this before, and my love for older women.
Oh, you do. But listen, if Brandon and I break up, if we divorce or I die, this man is going to marry a woman minimum 10 years older than him.
Well, let's just be honest. Anyone who is around my age, 40 and maybe a little bit above, Pamela Anderson was part of your sexual awakening.
Oh my God, that's so true.
100%. Like, she was probably one of the first women that you saw and go like, oh, something's a little different about that one.
Yeah, I'd say.
You know what I'm saying?
Like, two things are a little different about her.
For us to be at a time when she's nearly what? Or is she over 60 now? Let's see.
I'm not sure.
Alexa, how old is Pamela Anderson? 58 years old. Okay.
Doesn't wear a stitch of makeup and looks absolutely vibrant.
I will say it with
Gorgeous.
my wife here. Unbelievably hot.
Of course.
Unbelievably.
Yeah. I just love her for so many reasons. I love that she's smart. I was listening to this interview that she gave about how she gets up at 4 a.m. to like write, and she was talking about mythology and philosophy. She is so smart.
Well, Jamie Lee Curtis was talking about her in an interview because she worked with her on that show, that movie that I still want to see called The Last Showgirl, which is the movie that she basically came back into prominence for, that they thought was going to be like a Oscar darling and all of this. But I really want to see the movie. But she worked with Jamie Lee Curtis in that, and Jamie Lee Curtis said like she is literally one of the nicest, smartest, and like individuals that she's ever worked with in Hollywood, period. And that she was basically like in this interview for Freakier Friday, she was saying like, if somehow her and Liam Neeson have found love, everybody needs to leave them the F alone and just like allow this to be a thing.
Especially after what the media did to her in her previous relationships. Like we have to just let them live. And so, I mean, and Liam Neeson's story is so sad that his wife was killed in that like tragic skiing accident, and he like didn't even date after that for years. I think she died in like 2009.
It's been a while.
It's been a long time. And he was just kind of like, okay, I guess I'll just, make sure my kids are okay and go from there. And then he and Pamela are in this movie together and they fall in love. It's like, nothing brings me more joy. It's probably because I'm getting older than watching like middle-aged to older folks like get this second wind, find the second love, get really positive media attention. It brings me so much joy. When I first saw it, I thought it was a lie, that it was like one of those promotion things. And I was like, you told me about it. And I was like, I don't know, it might be bullshit. Like, I just want to make sure. And then to like see them talking about it and how like they haven't felt this way in ages. And we know Pamela's a hopeless romantic. She's fallen in love a lot. But the fact that Liam is, because Pamela's been married like 4 times now, I think.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe more. But I feel like this time she found like a really sturdy guy. You know what I mean?
And they don't have to get married. Like they can just be, in love.
Just be in love and be happy for now or forever. I feel so thrilled for them. And she means so much to me. She was your sexual awakening. For me, I think she is so brave. Like, I know it sounds crazy to say, but to be her age, even though she looks fantastic, but to not have work done and to go without makeup in Hollywood would mean most women were cast to the side as utterly irrelevant. And she has made it part of her entire vibe.
Well, she was also saying, like, in an interview this week, she was saying, like, I'm not always going to do this. She was like, I love glam and I love getting made up. But she's like, this has just been a constant, a conscious choice for my, like, comeback to not be thought of as this person who's always going to be done up and always looking for a certain kind of look and all of that. So,
well, it goes back to how smart she is. She was so sexualized in the 90s, especially, where people utterly ignored her talent, her kindness, her intelligence. And she was just treated like just some Baywatch bitch who you thought about sexually. When in fact, she's incredibly talented, she's incredibly empathetic and kind, and she's whip smart. And so I think making this comeback and making it not be about how good she looks, but about how true she is to herself was that conscious choice that is going to make that an option available to women my age. And for that, I am incredibly grateful.
We love it.
We love Pamela.
That was a good way to end.
I know. Honestly, like I could cry. I feel so happy for her.
Yeah.
Because when we stopped, I think her TV show, the last we heard, she had like left the guy that she was last married to. She was like, putzing around in the garden. And she was just kind of like, listen, I've always been someone who fell in love quickly and hard, and I still believe in love.
What TV show was that?
I think it was just called Pamela. Well, I think it was on Hulu. It was a while back, you remember? But it ended with them saying like she had separated from the guy that she had recently married.
Okay. Nice.
So, I'm just glad that she gave it a chance again. I think a lot of people, especially that age, like completely shut down. And she didn't. So more power to her.
Well, go support them and see Naked Gun. It's really funny. And I think you'll like it. So.
All right. Well, it's been a joy. It's been a pleasure. Please go to, we do need to give some calls to action. Okay.
All right.
I need you, if you're listening to this, to go to our YouTube and follow us. Like, begging, pleading, crying, throwing up. Go. And if you can watch the podcast or have it on YouTube, that will help us pretty tremendously because that's the platform that we care about the most in terms of growing and where we have the least followers.
Yep. And you can find all of our links and all of our podcast stuff for Apple, for Spotify, all at popsnitch.com. It goes straight to our link tree and has everything on there, including some merch if you'd like to support us in that way. We've got some themed merch for you, and it ships directly to your door, made to order. So please go there if you're interested.
Yeah, check that out. Let us know what you think of it. Maybe we should start a Patreon where we talk about political things, but it's behind a paywall.
That could be good.
Yeah, because I'd be happy to go ham on a lot of the things that I think right now. I have to really pull myself back, even when we're talking about current events, because it's also interwoven with, I want to talk about Murdoch starting his version of the New York Post in LA and how I think that's going to go. I have a lot of thoughts.
We might have to try it.
All right, we'll see if people care about that. All right, well, thank you so much. We love you. Bye.
Bye.